Good day, and welcome to today's episode of the Encore podcast. Today, I am thrilled to have with me my friend and colleague, Victoria Hirst, who is a certified transformational life coach. Welcome, Victoria.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm so thrilled to be here.
Well, I'm super excited because I also believe that the universe wants us to work together and be friends. There was a time in December that every time we went out the door, we ran into each other.
So true.
We kept saying, apparently we're supposed to be besties. I can think of offhand at least 3 times when I ran into you in a parking lot or ran into you at an event. And we're just like, well, we're friends now. And we actually only met probably about 6 months ago, but I'm happy to say we're friends now.
And we definitely are, and I so appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm excited to give you an opportunity to share your story because you are someone that, as I've gotten to know you, I admire the work that you're doing, but also the woman that you are. So I'm curious for myself and for the listeners to dig into your backstory. If you will, as with all of our guests, can you tell us a little bit about who Victoria is? So where you were born and raised, what life was like, and just your growing up, any highlights and lowlights that you're comfortable to share?
It's funny. I went through a phase in my life where I didn't like telling my story, and now I love sharing it again. So I'm thrilled to let you know I'm a Brit. I grew up in England, born in Sheffield, grew up in London, went to university then in Northern Ireland, had a beautiful time at university studying media and theatre in Northern Ireland, the University of Ulster, way up in the north, Coleraine. I lived in Portrush, Portstewart. Absolutely
Just sounds
loved
romantic.
It is romantic. The Giant's Causeway is right there.
Right.
It's beautiful. And that's actually where I realized that I loved nature. The university at the time was brand new, and like literally my commute was passing farmers' fields, and I loved it. And so cut to, I went to university in Northern Ireland, came back to London for a bit, but was looking for a career in film and television at a time in the British film industry that was when it was not thriving. And I went to a lot of production offices where basically people were saying, do anything else.
Okay.
And I was full of piss and vinegar, and I'm like, well, excuse me, I'm gonna be a film producer. So I met somebody who had lived in Toronto and had a very successful 5 years in Toronto, and I already had family in Toronto, so I easily emigrated to Toronto, and within 2 weeks I had a job in film and TV.
Perfect.
And basically didn't look back. For 30 years I lived in Toronto, had a prolific career in film and television. Cut to 2019, moved away from Toronto into the beautiful South Frontenac, where I realized, oh yes, I've been receiving these messages about living in nature and wanting to be surrounded by beauty of trees and lakes, and I haven't necessarily been listening to those messages. And now in 2019, I actually did. So now I live in South Frontenac, and I absolutely love it.
Oh, well, that's a spectacular location. As everyone knows, I'm a realtor, and one of my favorite places is all of the lakes and all of the beauty that South Frontenac provides. So I absolutely understand where you are. Along the road, what did your career look like? Was there lots of promotions and lots of travel? Any adversity that you're comfortable to share? Or was it a fairly smooth path for you?
I would say, honestly, looking back, connecting the dots, as Steve Jobs would say, connecting the dots, I loved my career. And I constantly was looking for ways to do it differently than conventional people were doing it.
Okay.
So I was not one of these people that was constantly in production. I was developing stuff. I was an independent producer. I went from low budget feature films, higher budgeted feature films. I did a stint producing children's television multicam sitcom, which I absolutely loved.
Ooh,
I
that
lived
sounds
in
fun.
Vancouver for 3 years doing multicam and learned a ton doing that. Came back to Toronto, did kids multicam again, and then graduated into higher budget television shows. I was very, very fortunate to film 4 summers in a row in North Bay, 2 seasons of a show for Bell Media and Sony called Carter, starring Jerry O'Connell,
Okay.
and then 2 seasons of The Lake for Amazon Prime, starring Jordan Gavares, and it was an incredible experience. So I loved what I did. I absolutely loved what I did, the people I met, the teamwork, the camaraderie what I didn't love, and this was my journey, is I didn't love how I was showing up as me.
Interesting. Okay.
I was pretty earnest.
Okay.
I was very serious, I would say. I lost my levity along the way. I'm not quite sure where I lost my levity, but I did. I felt that I was constantly proving myself. So I was seeking my validation from what I was doing. I sought my validation through my credit. My film and TV producer credit was very, very important to me. I was very attached to it. And so the way I was showing up was in the struggle of constantly proving.
Okay.
Constantly like, I can do this kind of energy. And after a while, we know this, after a while, that's not sustainable.
Right. It's exhausting.
Exactly. So I found myself one day, and I'll tell you the story if you'd love it. I was volunteering at a wildlife sanctuary in Costa Rica, doing what I really, really, truly loved, and my phone rang. And I answered it, and it was a work call. And it was in that moment, standing in this idyllic rainforest, surrounded by rescued animals, that I realized I just broke this work-free promise to myself. I was looking forward to this time, and I answered a work call, and I knew better. That was the turning point for me, because I was genuinely disappointed in myself. I genuinely knew that I knew better, but I did it anyway. I was on autopilot in that regard. And that was my wake-up call, because I physically felt sick to my stomach in that moment of how I'd let myself down.
Wow.
And that's when I knew that I wanted to advocate for myself more, and I wanted to show up as a different version of myself that was caring, compassionate for me, as well as the other people that I had worked with and served, but to be a different version of myself.
So how long after that were you able to actually make a change?
Oh, what a great question.
Because there's always a seed planted. I do remember my seed, where I was and when it happened, but there's a seed planted, and then there's time to actually make it happen.
Oh my gosh.
So what did that path look like?
That is so clever of you. So clever of you. So I handed in my notice in January of 2022. It was July of 2023. So it was a year and a bit.
Okay.
And there was a process. There was
Of
an
course.
absolute process, and my ego was involved in that process.
Yeah.
I absolutely was aware of that, and I wasn't as ready to let go as I thought I was, given where I was in what I was doing and the other people I had committed to along the way, and me wanting to follow through and see something that I had started come to fruition.
Right.
So very aware, actually, that even knowing that I'd made the decision, I was showing up as a different version of myself, because I knew that this was no longer the be-all and the end-all, that I was already on my journey of creating a softer, more compassionate version of myself. So actually, I was able to show up that year and a half more as that person. And I had the most fun ever.
Right. And that's the steps, right?
Yes.
Out of curiosity, how old would you have been at that time?
Well, so 2023 was how many years ago? 3 years ago?
2, 3-ish.
So how old am I? Well, the math is involved here. I am currently 57.
So you would have been 54.
Yeah, 54, 55-ish.
Right.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is, like we had talked about, and like this whole podcast is premised on, very normal.
Yes.
Particularly women find a moment somewhere around 50 where they stop and think, oh my goodness, the first half of my life is over. How have I shown up, to use your words? And how do I want to show up, for me, in most cases, in the second half of the life? So I'm so proud to welcome you to the Encore community, because you jumped right in, which is fantastic. And there's just so many stories of women like us who are then reinventing themselves, doing amazing things, no sign of slowing down, and I'm actually more excited and full of life and energized and confident than I was before 50, because before 50, I was very nervous. Can I raise these children? Can I pay for a house? Can I build a career? Can I sustain a marriage? And after, I think, hey, I did all those things.
Yeah.
I can pretty much do anything now, but that anything is whatever I want.
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So what
Absolutely.
did the plan look like? And you've landed here and put yourself right into the Kingston community and home in South Frontenac. What did you build for Victoria this time? And now I know for the community around us.
So I took some time out and I started studying personal development. I was listening to my coach and I was hearing, what would I love? And I didn't have the answer because I had never asked myself that question before. I knew what I wanted. I knew what I had felt I wanted as my first career. And so I was unconsciously following the tips and tools that I now, that I studied as a mentee of a coach. And in that process, I came about the realization that I would love to coach myself. That in fact, as a producer, I had been a mentor, that I had in fact been coaching. And that was what lit me up. The connection, the ability to help solve problems, to move through situations and come about the resolution. And so in a way, it's a natural progression that I'm now a life coach and I help and empower people to create and live lives they absolutely love. And I get to reference and use my past life as examples of times when I was going through adversity, going through my own personal development changes, and use that now as the curriculum along with programs that I coach.
Right. Absolutely beautiful. I love that you said you get to. Not that you have to. And that's such a really important distinction because people say, oh, I have to go to work today or I have to clean the house. We need to remember that it's a blessing that you have a house to clean or that you have a job to go to. And you do want to have a life where you feel like I'm excited I get to do this.
Yes.
And I feel that way. I love that I get to help people with the largest financial transaction of their lifetime and to find a home where their life is going to play out. That's absolutely a privilege. And as you can tell, it lights me up. And I can see that in you as well. You get to help people.
Yes.
So tell me about your business and what you've built.
Well, can I just expand on
Yes.
what you just said there? Because it's so, so important. I talk about the should shed. We put ourselves in the should shed so often. We're constantly saying, oh, I should be doing this, or I should be doing that because of this, because of that. And yet the reframe is, I get to.
Right.
I'm living this amazing life. And this is what I get to do through choice, through decision, by creating and living into more of what I love. And to your point about reaching this magical age of 50, where we've been proving, we've been struggling, we've been striving, right? We've been pushing I like to say, like pushing the boulder up the mountain.
Yeah, we
We
were.
know what it feels like. We know how it feels in our bodies, and it isn't sustainable. And so we get to, at this phase in our lives, do it differently, showing up differently, inspiring differently, and being the easier version of ourselves. I like to say easier. I love being in ease and flow. If you'd asked me what ease and flow was 25 years ago, I would have looked at you and gone, what now?
Oh, corporate Shari would have had no idea what those words
Like,
meant.
what are you doing?
Oh boy. Right. And I do feel like I'm in that now. I love the flow and the ease of my life. But yeah, corporate Shari would have shook her head and said, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm sure I owe a report to somebody. I got to go.
It's like, that's so not a thing, ease and flow.
Right?
Excuse me? So sorry, I didn't answer your question
Right.
at all.
So what have you built?
What have I built? Okay, so what I have built is a coaching practice, a coaching business, and I get to now coach clients. I coach the Dream Builder program, which is a proven, reliable, repeatable system where you get to design and live into a life that you absolutely love. It's 12 weeks. It's a very easy system to follow. So I coach people through that. I coach people through a program called Life Mastery, which is where we get to dig in to really the depth, the intricacies of our thinking mind and use it for our advantage, and understanding awareness, understanding what our limiting beliefs, our fears, our worries, our doubts may have been telling us that have been holding us back. Once again, once you reach your 50s, you're really well tuned by what your inner critic is telling you.
Right.
You're really tuned in to what the blah, blah, blah has been all about, right? And after a while, you're like, no, I have done it. I can do it. I am successful. So now I get to do this on my terms.
Right.
And I get to design it. I get to absolutely design and hone a life I absolutely love.
Right. I love that. And that really should be everyone's mission, is to design a life that they love. And I do love the saying as well, is that you should live a life that you don't need a vacation from. I like to vacation because I love to travel, and because I love to have adventures, and I like to do fun things and see the world. But I also love my life, because sometimes when we're away too long from our life on vacation, I crave coming home, because I love my home. I love my family. I love my routines. I love my community that I serve. And that as well is a blessing that, you know, I get to live that life.
Yeah.
But I think of that all the time, is, you know, remember, you're designing a life that you don't need a vacation from.
Yeah.
You choose to take a vacation, which
And
is beautiful.
and I love that. And it's not that the vacation has to be that you collapse on the beach, right? That you get to design a different way
Right.
of traveling. I mean, just like you're doing, you're exploring, you're actually doing things that maybe you wouldn't have done. You know, 25-year-old Shari might have, I don't know you that well, but Victoria Hirst 25 years ago was absolutely collapsing on a beach, because she was so like burnt out in the day to day that that's what she was doing.
Right.
Now, my version of traveling is, I'm out and about. I'm walking, I'm seeing things, and I'm going to botanical gardens. I'm not sitting on the beach.
Exactly. Beautiful. I love that. Now, you're, like you said, I think you said you landed here in 2023. So you're newer to the community, and I see you everywhere. So how did you build that network and get so well engaged in our community? Because I've seen you at Women Mean Business events. I met you at the AWEC, where you were one of the keynote speakers. I've seen you at other activities just around town. You've really done an amazing job immersing yourself in a new community. And I'm sure there's other women who need to do things like that. I remember the first time I went to a networking event when I wasn't corporate Shari, I didn't know. I was terrified. Who were these people? Were they going to like me? What was I going to say when they asked me what I did? Because I didn't do anything at that time. I was still trying to find myself. So, of course, I had to be witty, because I had to make a self-deprecating joke. So I would always say, oh, hi, my name is Shari Doherty, and I'm currently untethered. Because I had to make people go, oh, what does that mean? Because I was terrified, and it was hard. And some days I would drive there and sit in the parking lot for 10 minutes. And honestly, my daughter would talk me into going and just saying, if it's terrible, go to the bathroom and then leave. No one will notice you were there anyways. Right. You might go make a new friend. I have a great story about how I made a new friend who's now one of my best friends through one of those events. So how did you do it?
So it's interesting, actually, because I honestly believe that my career in film and television helped.
Okay.
I was constantly networking, and film and TV is a very collegial, collaborative space, and we love parties.
Okay.
There are film festival parties, there are union parties, there are events that were pretty often during my career. So I got very used to talking, meeting people. Also, we came out of the pandemic, and I think everybody was a lot more hungry for connection.
Oh, absolutely.
And I happened to be hungry for connection at the same time that everybody else was hungry for connection. And I simply put myself out there. I had felt, and I moved in 2019, I had felt that, okay, I now know where I live. I now know I've been coming into Kingston because my partner's mother lives in Kingston, so we were coming back and forth. I was meeting people just by coming to Pedal Works on a regular basis, and loving that. And I was meeting people at the senior center because I was singing, and I was feeling it's one of those things, you know, when you're open in one part of your life, you're open in other parts of your life.
Right.
I had consciously understood that I had shut myself down, that I was closed in my my previous career in terms of social networking at the end of it, because I was focusing purely on the job itself, and you know, we work very long hours,
Right.
so we're spending a lot of time with the people that we're working with. So at the end of the day, you kind of just want to go home and reground yourself. But my job that I am doing now, I have designed so that I'm not working all hours of every day. And networking is part of what I love doing, connecting with people, hearing people, share stories, engage and inspire each other with wisdoms.
Right.
I mean, I love that.
Right.
And I did spend a whole lifetime of talking about obscure film directors and movies people hadn't seen. So now what I get to talk about is people's lives.
Right.
And how they're showing up for themselves and what they want more of. And oh my gosh, that's so fulfilling.
It is beautiful.
It really is.
Absolutely. So what do you think life looks like in 5 or 10 years for you?
Well, I am definitely coaching.
Okay, you're still coaching? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Don't worry, I'm still selling houses.
Yeah, because we love it.
I do.
Yes. So I'm coaching, and we have a 100-acre off-grid property just outside Tamworth.
Oh.
Where we host events, retreats, workshops, and we Airbnb it. It's off-grid, so it's only rentable between May to October, but it's beautiful, surrounded, pristine nature, absolutely wonderful. And last year we hosted quite a few events and retreats, and so I'm hosting more retreats and really
Please invite me.
Yes.
That sounds lovely.
Yes, it absolutely is. And what's incredible is bringing the connection of like-valued people together and to be inspired by the backdrop of our nature, our beautiful countryside that we have here.
Right.
And so that's what I would love to be doing more of, as well as leading volunteer expeditions on animal conservation trips.
Oh, wow.
I would love,
I can
love to be
completely
doing
see
that.
you doing that. Also, please invite me. That sounds fabulous. I actually remember you having a conversation with my husband about that.
Penguins of Patagonia, people.
Yes, he wants to go to Patagonia with you. That's correct. Yeah, that's a beautiful vision for yourself.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And it's interesting that you said you knew at some point there was going to be nature. And you've got this beautiful place, this retreat in our beautiful countryside where you can just be with nature after it sounds like you've traveled most of the world. So we're very fortunate that you've chosen to make Eastern Ontario your home, because you're a gift to Eastern Ontario as much as it's a gift to you. So
Thank
that's beautiful. It's funny. I know someone else who has done a lot of travel around the world. And I recently asked him if there's anywhere in the world that you could settle and make home, where would it be? And he literally said right here.
Nice.
He said he's in the Ottawa Valley, and
Yep.
he said Eastern Ontario is
Yeah.
one of the most beautiful places in the world. And he has seen most of the world,
Yeah.
but this is just a fantastic place to live and build life and build community, which is exactly what you and I are doing. So that's beautiful. If you could talk to, say, 9-year-old Victoria, what would you say to her?
Honestly, without tears flooding my eyes,
That's okay.
I would say it all works out. It's absolutely perfect.
That's beautiful,
It's all good, and you got it.
right? Don't you wish we could go back and talk to
Yeah.
our little
Yeah.
girl versions of ourselves?
Yeah.
Because I wish I could also go back to my little girl version of myself and say, just you wait and see your beautiful life.
Yeah.
Sorry, now I'm going to cry as well.
Yeah.
But just you wait and see your absolutely beautiful life, because it is absolutely everything that she didn't believe she could even possibly dream of.
Yes.
So that's fantastic.
And we probably grew up way too quickly, right?
Yep.
I mean, I know I did.
Yep.
And so little Victoria, she was already in the, I got to do this, I got to do this,
Right.
the energy.
Yeah, I don't think I appreciated some of the times and eras of my life, and I wish I had of. And now, at least the wisdom we have now is you need to find joy in the journey
Yes.
and enjoy every single moment of these seasons, regardless of what they look like, because Time just goes so fast.
And you get to pass on the wisdom of that.
Right?
And
Absolutely.
so to our children and our grandchildren, we get to say, you know, it's okay. You know, you are a beautiful person.
Right.
You've got this.
Absolutely, they do. So if people wanted to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
Through my website, victoriahirst.com. I'm on Facebook. I am not on Instagram, but I am on LinkedIn.
Okay. That's okay. They say you have to choose your platforms.
Yes.
Right. And what's your website address?
It's victoriahirst.com.
Okay. And you have, I assume, one-on-one coaching and group coaching
I
and
have
workshops.
101. I do workshops. I do regular vision workshops. I do one-on-one. I do group. And I will have retreats coming up this summer.
Ooh, I'm excited.
So stay tuned. And the website for the farm is S for Shibagau Creek Forest Farmstead. So scff.ca.
We're going to go look at that together when we're done
Yes.
recording. That sounds
Yes.
exciting, and I'm excited to dig in.
And I do forest bathing there as well. I forgot to
Interesting.
mention I studied forest bathing in Japan,
Wow.
and it was amazing.
That does sound beautiful. I
Yes.
love that. I have so enjoyed our conversation this afternoon and getting to know you even more. I know that we have a beautiful blossoming friendship and lots of collaboration together. It's been a joy to meet you. You were one of the joys of my 2025 that was new. So that's neat. And I'm sure our listeners are also going to enjoy this. To our listeners, I always thank you for being a part of this community. And if you enjoyed this, please click the subscribe button and share this with a friend who might just need a little encouragement as well.
Thank you so much. It's been a complete and utter pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.